Hi guys, and welcome to Ed's Drafts. I have finally finished assembling my rig. It's all done, benchmarks are done, all the videos posted on YouTube. So I decided to focus on the next thing, which is getting myself a decent monitor. Now I've done a ton of research before getting this, so I'm not gonna go through all that because I would be rambling for another 20 to 30 minutes. So if you are interested why this particular display, or maybe you have something else in your mind and you're wondering whether this would be your option or your answer, just let me know in the comment section down below and I'll be sure to answer. So here I'm going to be doing a review of this Philips Brilliance BDM3270 QP monitor, which is 32-inch display, 1440p, running 60 Hz, having AMVA panel, which is brilliant, by the way, guys. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And it has speakers integrated, has picture-in-picture, picture-by-picture, and all these options, and a great stand, by the way. And it was sent to me by Philips to do a quick overview. So it's a 10-day loaner unit. I was trying to get as much as I can in these 10 days. So I was gaming, I was watching videos, I was creating videos, I was editing photos, I was browsing the web, doing anything I could, what I would do them normally by using the monitor every day. And in each of these areas, this monitor is great. And no, this is not a paid advertisement or anything like that, guys. But the moment I put it on my desk, the moment I powered it on and I put it to 1440p resolution, it just felt right. I was thinking, it's going to be big or it's going to be amazing or it's going to be something unusual, but it just felt right. It didn't seem too big, too small. It didn't seem too high in terms of resolution. So the icons weren't small or anything like that. It was just perfect. That's exactly what I need. Now, for you guys, it could be different. Maybe you want a 4K 27-inch display. That's okay. I don't blame you for that. But I'm just saying that for myself, it is perfect. It seems quite a big display for 1440p when you look at the paperwork, but when you put it on the desk, it just feels right. So that's how I felt the first thing when I connected it. So going back to that, in terms of connections, obviously it has a standard kettle lead with a physical switch on and off button, which is good to have. It has a DVI, VGA, HDMI display port and audio in and out. It also has 3-watt speakers, so audio in is not only a pass-through or anything like that. So yeah, the speakers are not great, but considering it's just a monitor speakers and they're only 3-watt, they sound pretty good and I have no issues with that whatsoever. Next thing, I tried the stand. Now for me, it doesn't really matter too much because, you can see how it is set up for me, and that's pretty much how I'll be using it all the time. So if I kept this monitor, that's how it would be on my desk. However, maybe for you, you need to rotate it, twist it, or do whatever you want with it. So for those of you who do, it has a height adjustment of 18 centimeters. It pivots 90 degrees. It swivels 170 degrees to each side, so pretty much completely around. And it tilts 5 degrees down and 20 degrees upwards or kind of away from you. In terms of the stand, guys, I think it's a perfect stand, and that's what every monitor should have. I don't know what kind of cost is involved in getting a stand like this on the monitor, because this is not an expensive monitor. And I'm pretty sure that Philips tried to cut every corner possible to make it as affordable as it is. But they still produce a great panel with a great stand. So guys, if you're getting a monitor for €200 or higher, or $200 or pounds or higher, I think stand like this should be a standard. Obviously, before I did anything at all with this monitor, once it's connected, I adjusted the height and the position of it to the level that I wanted. I went through the menus. So I had a look what kind of menus there are, because this monitor is kind of considered to be an office monitor / professional use monitor, but considering its price, I didn't expect much. However, in the menus, I was surprised to find that Philips included Kelvin setting, which is basically your white balance setting. It has a gamma preset as well as pretty much standard 6 presets that probably every monitor has, including the gaming preset. But it just surprised me, those little features that you wouldn't find normally in the monitor. They would be called cool, warm, and in here it was more technical. It was specifically targeted for professionals. So that's a great feature to have, even if you don't use it, because it's an adjustment that you might need, and it is there. So naturally what I did next is I took my Spider 4 Pro calibration tool, which I had for a while, and I calibrated a couple of displays, and I threw it on this monitor, and I just went through all the standard tests. So all the tests of the shades of gray, shades of red, green, blue, and whatnot, and just saw how it looks like in terms of uncalibrated and calibrated view. And to my big surprise, when you toggle between them, there's not that much difference, which means that display out of the box is pretty accurate and pretty much ready to use. So if you don't have a expensive calibration equipment, or even something as simple as the Spider 4 Pro, which is still about €100, you can still use the display and it would be pretty accurate. So that's great news, because you're getting pretty much professional grade monitor for a consumer price that's already calibrated. Calibration doesn't show it to be exceptional. It has, standard values for this type of display, or even for IPS display. It doesn't have a HDR features or anything like that, and it's not advertised as HDR, and it's not priced as HDR, but it's exceptionally good consumer display. I obviously went a bit deeper in terms of testing, and I tested tone response, gamma, brighten, contrast. Might not mean much to you, doesn't mean a lot to me, but I wanted to see what it produces. And one thing that you should be focused here on is the brightness and contrast, because what that checks is it asks you to check it at 0% in brightness, 25, 50, 75, and then 100. And it gives you a readout on what the contrast is in relation to brightness. And that's what surprised me the most. Now, it's great that the gamma curve is pretty much matching what it should be. That's all good and well, but what everybody would notice is the brightness and contrast curves. And what that means is you can even try it on your monitor. If you set your brightness to, let's say, 50%, you're going to see all the colors are vivid, or at least they look vivid. But then when you increase it to 75, 80, 90, 95, 100, the colors simply wash out. So the blacks become kind of silver or gray at best. If you need it for color accuracy, on most monitors, you would be having issues with that. So you would want to dial down the brightness to about, 70, 60, sometimes 50%, depending on your monitor. On this display, it was pretty much fine throughout, even at 100%. And also what I noticed is this display at 50% brightness was the same, just as bright as my other monitor, which is an IPS monitor, which I bought just a couple of years back, set at 100% brightness. So obviously I have one monitor that's set at 100% brightness that's washing out all the colors. And here I have this monitor set to 50% and it's fine. And even if I increase it to 100%, it's okay. So that was surprising, not unexpected, but still surprising, and I think that's a great thing that it behaves as it does. So obviously my next test was to see the viewing angles. So I turned the lights off and I swiveled, rotated, and twisted that display to see what the viewing angles are, and they're fine. They're just as good as IPS display. They're obviously a whole lot better than TN panel that all the gaming monitors would use, or most affordable gaming monitors would use. Next, obviously, was my test to try the blacks, because I know that IPS are horrible at blacks, TN is great at blacks, but horrible at color reproduction, and AMVA should be great at both the color reproduction and blacks. And sure enough, I turned off the lights, put a black background on Windows, set the brightness to 50%, which is what I would use normally, and rotate the display all around, and it's fine. You might see some reflection in the video. That's because there was some light in the room, like not an actual light source or anything like that, but just was light leaking through the blackout curtains, and there was a little bit of reflection because of that. But other than that, there was no issues. One next step I did, which I haven't done before on the monitors, is I checked the gray uniformity, and every monitor has this issue to some degree. And when I tried on this, it was noticeable if you're really looking for it, and only on uniform gray background. But I think that's pretty much normal on all the displays, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Anyway, these were the tests that I performed, and I think that's as far as you can go with the standard monitor setup and doing the tests that you can do. If I skipped something, let me know, and next time I'll have it in mind. Unfortunately, as I said, this monitor is going back to Philips, and I won't be able to have it again unless I purchase one, and I'm seriously considering doing that, because I think it's a perfect display for me. Might not be for you, but in my opinion, it's a great display. It has great features, and it's something that I really would like to have permanently sitting on my desk. Having said that, there are a few things that you should consider. First thing, it's pretty heavy, so it's 11 kilogram with a stand or 8 kilogram without, which is about, I think, 20 pounds with the stand and about 15 without. Correct me if I'm wrong. It has bezels, so obviously it's not a super sexy, flashy OLED display or something like that, so it would have bezels, but just to let you know, there are bezels on it. So if you're considering a 3-monitor setup, you might want to take that into consideration as well. Controls were not great, so in terms of the menus and all that on the monitor, where here the controls are here, they were okay, but they were not great, and I wish they were physical buttons, but at the same time, once they're set, I don't really need to use them, so that's fine. And as I mentioned, some gray uniformity. Once again, guys, if you're pixel peeping or something like that, you would find always something in every monitor that you view. But I didn't have any burn-ins, I didn't have any bad pixels or stuck pixels. The color reproduction was great, the black levels were fine. Great uniformity, I would say, still quite okay. And most importantly, there was no color bleed, so there was no light, seeping through the corners of the monitor, which is so obvious on pretty much every monitor you get on the market right now that it's IPS, some TN panels as well. This is AMVA panel, and I think it's a perfect panel to have. So from now on, I'm switching from IPS to AMVA. Some people mentioned some burn-in issues or something like that on similar AMVA panels. I couldn't reproduce that test on the Philips monitor. There is a test that puts black and white squares on the monitor and you can see if there's a burn-in or not. I had that test running for like nearly an hour and no issues whatsoever. So not an issue on this monitor. So yeah, if you would like to find out more about this product, drop me a comment in the comment section down below. I'm also going to include some links in the video description there for you guys if you're interested to find out more from the manufacturer themselves. It's all the technical information and whatnot. And thanks for watching. See you next time. Have a nice day.